Hey guys, Chris with Tillman Family Farms. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't done so, please go down and like and subscribe and ring that bell so you'll see all the videos that we put out. All right guys, welcome back to our How to Become a Pig Farmer series of videos. This is the 5th installment. So we're going to be going over structures today. A lot of this is going to be stuff that you can make from just leftover things around the farm. Some of it are going to be natural things. Some of it are going to be for loading purposes and different things like that. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the ones that we keep in the training pens, and then a field structure. It's a lot like the one in the training pen, and then we'll just keep on going from there. All right, so two things going on right here where I'm at. So this behind us, this is actually something that Jordan Green was using as a farrowing hut. I think I made mine a little bit too small because when the pigs were old enough or big enough to farrow, they were a little bit big to get into this thing. So we've always used it as a piglet shelter in a training pen, which is what I'm in right now. So I'm gonna go over here and show you the hut, and then I'm gonna show you the training pen. And I may even show you a little bit about how to set up and where to set up a training pen to begin with, okay? All right, so I did use treated boards for the structure part of this as much as I had some left over, but this is just old roofing tin, and it's rolled over to the back, and it's got a board all the way around the bottom of it so that you can put bedding in there and it'll hold bedding. But very simple structure. I want to say it took me like an hour and a half to build this thing. No specific measurements. You can build these a little bit taller than this for sows to get in when they're going to have their piglets. And if you're going to do that, that board across the back there will give the piglets somewhere to be behind that, so that when mama's rolling around in here, she might not lay on them. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but if you're going to farrow on pasture, you are going to have piglets laid on, so be prepared for that. So let's talk about this training pen and where it's set up and how to begin with one, okay? So training pens are a real simple structure. Placement of them, in my opinion, is very, very important. I even see some of the guys that I learned from, they have one central location in a lot of cases for their training pens. We move these things all over the place. This one started right where it's at because behind us, right there where you see is green, was the first paddock that they were going into. So the last pigs that were in here was about probably 4 months ago. We have piglets due in a couple weeks, so we'll get this set up and moved. But these are hog panels. This is a 16 by 32, so that's going to give you 6 hog panels. We just use some old rebar stakes and zip ties to stand this thing up, and then we use temporary step-in posts, and then we stretch a hot wire around on the inside of this thing. This will help you train your piglets to electric. When we get out in netting, this is the same thing that we do. We've got the netting that looks like this hard barrier, and then we have an electric wire around the inside of it. Contains the pigs, works really, really well, and you know, we recommend it to just about everybody. But that's the two first structures that you should be using: is a training pen when you get your pigs there, and then a hut to keep them out of the weather. And then when they move on to pasture, it gets a little different from there. So let's talk about that. All right, so here we are. We've come out of our training pen. We're into our first paddock. So you can see how all of this stuff has started to grow back. Maybe not so much on the hill up there where it washes, but in this first paddock, when they were still a little bit smaller and it was still cold when they were in here, okay? That little structure that you see in front of us is nothing but some pallets, some screws, and some boards to hold it together. And then that is actually a piece of an old garage door that somebody was throwing away, and they said, "Hey Chris, do you think you could use this?" And I said, absolutely. So when it was cold, this was what we had. So you can see the progression of these pastures or these paddocks. So I'm still standing in one, and then I'll walk you to the line of where the second one was. So right across here, where you see this lovely buttercup, is where the next paddock was. And then you can see up there where the third one was, because not much of anything's grown back in that one yet. And then there's another one, and then another one, and then they're way out there in the woods. So let's talk about a more natural structure that you can use for shelter for pigs in the wintertime. All right, so if you've ever paid attention to say Joel Salatin or Greg Judy and what they do with round bales of hay, they do rollouts. And when they do a rollout, what they're doing is they're reseeding a pasture, and they're also putting organic material down on the ground. You can do the same thing with pigs, but you're not going to unroll it. In the wintertime, pigs will burrow down into hay. You flip it up on its side to where it's the end, so it's would not roll out. They couldn't push it to roll out. And they will dig all around the bottom of that thing. They'll bury themselves in it. They'll eat it, all sorts of stuff. So old junk hay bales are like gold to pig farmers. You can get those things, put one in a paddock in the wintertime, and it's dual purpose. They're going to eat it, they're going to burrow in it, and they're going to stay warm in it. And it's going to help the quality of the soil. So old hay bales are great for pigs. All right, so I'm going to tell you exactly what this is. This is 2 pallets on the bottom so that I can grab it with the forks on the tractor. I took a piece of plywood and put it down on it, which I used what I had, which was OSB at the time, and it is all busting up. You can see my pallets kind of shining through there. But then I just nailed some 2x4s to it. And then all of this is sawmilled lumber from trees here on the property. We had a guy come out with sawmill, cut us up a bunch of stuff, and got it all nailed together, made it sturdy. And then right here, those 2 pieces of channel right there are called Unistrut. We use them quite a bit in the electrical trade, but what I did was I used them to create a slide door. So I'll prop it up like that, and it's open. And then from here, there's a wooden panel that we made that's screwed in here. And then once you get out past it, and this is gonna be hard to explain the way it's sitting. So anyway, you're gonna have a panel that goes out this way, and then one that goes that way, and then one that comes off the far end. What you do is you set the gap in between those wooden panels in the corner only big enough for piglets to get through. Now you're gonna have to drive some stakes or something to keep mama pigs from just blowing it wide open and getting in there to it. But what you do is you feed your piglets out in the little yard that you've created. And then once you got them all interested in coming in here and eating, so they're not fighting with mom over feed, then you move in and you start feeding them in here. Do that the same way that you would do with feeding on a trailer or something like that. And as soon as they all get in here, you let the slide door down on them, and then you take it all apart, you scoop it up with a tractor, and you take it to your training pen. Piglet catch system. There are videos on our channel if you want to go back and look at how this is set up. I want to say stress-free catch system for piglets or something like that. I can't remember the name of the video, but it's there. Works great. It's always worked great. We've never had a problem catching pigs like this. So check it out. Very good thing to have if you're going to be farrowing pigs. All right, so this is just a kind of a standalone lean-to type building. Was not originally intended for pigs, but it's worked out really well. We'll bed it down pretty hard when the girls are getting close to farrowing. Some of them will farrow in there. Most of them choose to collect things and make their nest out in the woods. But this is just a couple of 2x8s, some landscape timbers, some extra sawmilled lumber, and once again some old tin, reclaimed tin from something else. So easy structure to build. Sometimes when the pigs are feeling smart and it's raining like crazy, they'll get in there and just hang out. But for the most part, they sleep in it. We bed it in the wintertime. It's great for that. But this is a breeder group up here. This pen is an absolute mess, buddy. Look at all this stuff. Dead trees. I gotta get in here and clean this thing out. Anyhow, that's just another little helpful structure. Not necessary, but works really well. All right, so the last thing that we're going to talk about on this video when it comes to structures is loading. So we use an old horse trailer to haul our pigs to the processor, and it's up off the ground a little bit. I've seen a lot of people, they just make alleyways and they take the dark boards and they push them in there and the pigs end up jumping in them and all that stuff. But we thought we would make it easy because of the way that we load, and we built a ramp, and it is way out in the pasture where we took pigs from the last set. So we're gonna make the walk out there and show that to you guys, tell you how we use it, and how we get our pigs to load when it's time to use that ramp. All right, there it is behind me. So the loading ramp, we built the loading ramp for dual purpose. So we use it with cows and we use it with pigs. So it's wide enough for cows and it's plenty big enough for pigs, but we use it more often with pigs, obviously. So what we do, you can see the ground behind me. This ground has not recovered very well. We didn't overseed this when we got them out of here. But this ramp was in the corner of a pen. So your electric netting stopped at one side and then on the other side, so that the ramp was open to them. The trailer's parked out here for week to 2 weeks before they go to the butcher. We feed the pigs on the trailer. By the time you're ready to go to the butcher, all you got to do is ride out here, shake that bucket, have your truck hooked up to your trailer, feed them on the trailer, pull forward. It's a two-man job. Pull forward a little bit, have somebody shut the door. Very easy, stress-free. Nobody gets hurt from out here trying to wrangle a 350-pound pig up that ramp right there, okay? So real simple. Feed them on the trailer for 2 weeks. Day it's time to go, hook your truck up, feed them on the trailer, pull forward, shut the door, take them to town. Let's look at this ramp. So pretty simple. We tied it together at the top up there, pretty tough, so that you know, cows and whatnot trying to get in here and turn around or whatever. We use some lag bolts all the way at least to there, so all of them all the way down have a lag bolt. I gotta replace the floor in this thing, but it has worked really well for us. We'll just tie our stuff up to it and tie our netting up to it, and it works great, man. Pigs run off and on the trailer right there, but it has been sitting out here because this is the last place that we loaded. So normally we just put a board over it like that in case the cows are in this section of the pasture, so they won't just come off and on it and tear it up and all that kind of stuff. But like I say, lag bolts in several places so that it's good and sturdy. You don't want to play around with stuff like this when you make something like this. You sometimes getting cows on here, these things could be a little beat up. So put them together as tough as you can, but real simple. Put it on a little bit of an angle, measure your trailer height, and then you want your loading height right there to be about the same as the trailer. So that's what we did when we built it. Sometimes it just depends on if the trailer's on a hill or not, but this is a really good tool for loading your animals. Makes it nice and easy, and you can set it up and walk away from it, feed them in there, and you'll have a good experience with loading them, and you won't be all stressed out wanting to say bad words to your spouse or your helper or whomever it might be. All right, guys, so that's it on structures. And let me just tell you this, you don't have to have any of these structures. Pigs do really well outside as long as they've got a little bit of a wooded area. So unless it's wintertime and they need that round bale of hay or something like that, you don't have to have these structures. They're gonna be just fine in the rain. They do better in the cold than they do in the heat. So shade is a big time deal. Anything like that are very, very important, but for the most part, you really don't need structures. I mean, look at all the wild pigs that run all throughout the South and different parts of the country. They don't have any structure at all. I would like to give you guys a little bit of homework. So on the next video, it will be the last in this series. We're going to talk about meat selections, you know, where to find that information on how you want your pigs to be cut up, and what you want to sell, and what's going to get you the most out of what you have available to you. So go watch some of the butchering videos from the Bearded Butchers on pork. Okay, that's going to give you a really good idea what you can get out of a pig and what it looks like when it's at the butcher shop. So we appreciate you guys watching. If you hadn't done so, please go down and like and subscribe. Ring that bell so you'll see all the videos we put out, and we will see you on the next video.